Hey everyone. Alright, so 41. 41 weeks. I just looked back over my last video. It's kind of nice actually being able to take the time to have a look at what I was thinking and feeling last time I did the video. But really funny how I say in there how final everything I'm saying is. Sorry, just struggling to get comfortable. But yeah, so obviously I'm making the 41-week video. I am still pregnant. We have not met our daughter yet. But yeah, so it's been extremely interesting, this whole thing. I suppose, in a way, if I'm trying to find positives, which I think are important in every situation, if it wasn't for her coming whenever she decides to come, or having not come so far, none of you guys would be getting the benefit of the experience that we're going through and me obviously talking about it. So that's definitely been a good thing. And I'll explain other good things as we go through what's going to happen in the last week. But yeah, so I did the check-in last week at 40 weeks, which would have been the Sunday, which was fine. We saw Amy, so midwife, everything went good there. And then I'm just trying to track through the days so I don't forget anything. So Tuesday, Wednesday, things were all kind of normal. I'd been having niggles all week, but nothing too serious. I kind of wondered if things were starting to ramp up a little bit. Thursday, the lockdown ended for the COVID-19, all that sort of stuff that's been going on. So finally was able to go back and see Nick, who has been doing the acupuncture for me, and go see Chloe, who's been doing my osteo appointments. So when I went and saw them on the Thursday, Nick did the induction points, the acupuncture induction points. Also, she just did the stuff to help calm me because I need that. So that was really helpful, and honestly, just being in her presence again made me feel so good. Part of me feels like baby's kind of taken a little bit more time to come, so that I got to have a couple more appointments with both of these ladies and realign everything, get my body into a really good kind of zen state as much as I can be, because I'm a very kind of highly strung person anyway. But just to feel some of those good feelings again, because I hadn't had a lot of that sort of support through the lockdown other than what Brennan gives me, which I'm very lucky for, but just a little bit different coming from a lady like that, especially because they've both had kids and all that sort of thing too. So did the induction points with Nick, and when I saw Chloe, she helped to realign everything, because I do seem to have one tighter side with my pelvis, my right hand side. So she worked on that, and she also did a cranial massage, which is on your head, which helps to stimulate induction points too. That all went really good. Went home that night, a few niggles, went to bed, woke up in the morning about 5:30, niggles again, kind of cramping and that sort of thing. Died off when I got out of bed. Went through the day with nothing, and got to like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I started to get some quite bad, some quite strong tightenings and period-like cramps. And then from there, basically right the way through until we went to go to bed at 11 o'clock, they just seemed to get stronger and closer together, to the point that we were sitting there eating our meal before we went to sleep, and I said to Brendan that I thought it was getting quite intense, and he was looking at me, and we're both kind of like, fuck, this is it, like we're gonna have a baby. It was funny because it stemmed off a lot of thoughts for both of us, which this was one of the other positives that I was going to say. Obviously we didn't end up having baby. I went to bed that night and things kind of slowed down. I tried to get back up and see if that would help things going again, but it didn't. And then I basically had nothing for all of Saturday. I didn't feel anything, and then Sunday a little bit I started to feel in the evening again. But where I was going with that, when we both kind of thought I was in labour, we were sitting there eating our bed meal. I had a candle going and a podcast, and I could just see and feel Brennan looking at me, like trying to gauge the pain, because when I was having those tightenings and those crampings come, it's almost like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it was almost like it went from feeling like nothing to then I'd be like, oh, breathe through it, stay calm, all that sort of stuff, So when we found out that it wasn't actually labour, that definitely made me feel a little bit disheartened, because it's like, okay, well, what is this actually going to feel like too? But yeah, so apparently that is what it's not Braxton Hicks. It's Braxton Hicks you can get throughout your pregnancy, but they're just tightenings. There's no pain associated with them. It sounds more like, apparently after we talked to the midwife, that it was predominal labour. So it's basically the same sort of sensations that you get when you're going into labour. You can get quite a bit of regularity with them too, but they never really extend to anything. She said the biggest tell sign for me was that if you lay down in labour, when you're actually in true labour, the sensations won't die off, whereas that's what was happening. I'd lay down and then they'd start to die off and I'd feel like I needed to get back up and start moving again to keep things going. She said that won't happen when it's actually labour. However, yeah, after that night, when we woke up the next morning, Brendan and I had a bit of a talk about it and how it made us feel. And it brought up a little bit of a fear that I talked to you guys about recently anyway, that about the whole labour thing, like how does this go and what do we do when it happens. I was mainly concerned, I think, in those hours when it was going on, of like how far do I let this go before we need to fill that pool up, you know, because I want that water and that feeling. And then I remember saying to Brendan that night when it was happening, I was like, okay, if we don't have time to set the pool up, it's fine, but can you set the bath, you know, like, and get that going. But yeah, and then so Brendan's side of it was really interesting for me too. So he was kind of talking about, although we've put all this preparation in and we've got everything that we need and it is all in one spot, and I've told him, there was a lot of it just kind of going in one ear and out the other for him. It just wasn't really relevant information to him at that point. And then when we went into labour, he was saying to me, he's like, okay, so where's the stuff if we need to go to the hospital? And where's this? And, you know, where's baby's clothes for afterwards? You know, like all these little questions. And it was kind of like, we had talked about this. But all these things were playing for him. And so I think that how that happened, even though we didn't go into actual labour, which annoyed me to start with, I think that it was meant to happen like that so that I got to feel those feelings so we could discuss them and they wouldn't just become a huge fear that came up during labour and held us back. And also Brendan was able to feel what he was feeling so that we could talk about it. And we spent that morning, once we woke up and we talked about it, going through all the stuff, what it was there for, how, you know, when we might need it, you know, and where everything was, so that he felt more confident with it when it came time as well. Because as he had said, which is so interesting because it's the total opposite of what we had wanted, but it's true, is that it's just innate in us that when something like that goes on, especially for him because he said he felt quite helpless just watching and wasn't really sure what to do, that you and just instantly think, okay, maybe we just need to go to the hospital, you know, like that they can sort us out there. And sorry, just adjusting because Ronnie's actually on the bed with me today. Hey Ronnie. And you have to give him toilet rolls and paper towels so that he stops doing things instead of playing on the bed. But yeah, so he has been very helpful to keep us a little bit distracted from it just being about baby all the time and also about missing in. So he's picked up his own little personality recently, which has been really nice, especially because he's still so young too. But yeah, okay. So Ronnie, Ta, please. Eating my pillow. Ta, Ronnie. Okay, so I can't remember where I was up to now. But yeah, so it was actually quite a positive thing, even though I was a little bit disheartened. After that, yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, kind of talked all the way through that, so that was fine. And then Monday, today, we had Amy this morning for our appointment. She also did the stretch and sweep, which was interesting. So the stretch and sweep is it's the only thing really that they talk about being kind of medically proven in some way to help bring on labour. So of course we wanted to try that before we go down the route of actually inducing or anything like that. Far from our mind of wanting to do that. So yeah, so we did the stretch and sweep. So basically what that is they try and sweep the membranes in around the cervix and baby's head to produce more of the hormones, create a bit of a stir up to get like the labour started and that sort of thing. But yeah, so she did that. When she was doing that, she was able to tell that she could get 2 fingers into my cervix, which would indicate that I was between 1 and 2 centimetres dilated already. So all the practice that seems to be going in hasn't just been for nothing. There definitely has been some progress there, which was reassuring. But yeah, so she was pretty happy with all of that. The idea with the stretch and sweep is that it works within 48 hours if it's going to do anything. Since having it, it's been like 4 hours since we saw her and did that, but definitely feel a lot of like kind of stuff going on, I suppose. She did say that it was normal to feel a little bit niggly and pinchy and that sort of thing, which I definitely am feeling. But yeah, so that's been positive. I'm hoping that things will happen in the next 48 hours, but it's been interesting that after we actually did the stretch and sweep, something that wasn't eating hot curries and walking and having sex and all that sort of stuff, it felt quite final that like it's going to happen, you know. And I said to Brendan, I was like, I'm excited about that, but at the same time it's also a little bit scary that we're going to kind of be going through that very soon, which is weird. I hadn't really had any thoughts or any funny feelings at all about it until kind of recently as it's gotten closer, I suppose. It's just the fear of the unknown, and there really is no preparing that we can do for it. I feel like I'm kind of tough, but I have no idea how I'm going to respond to that. I don't know what's going to come up emotionally for me either, for Brendan, how we're going to deal with it all. But yeah, so it's going to be really interesting. I've learned a lot through this journey about myself and my relationship, I suppose, too, and all that sort of stuff, you know, about the sort of person that I want to be and the sort of mum that I want to be too. But yeah, so it's been a massive journey. It's been longer than I thought it was going to be, and I think it's all worked out that way for a reason, because I needed to go through these weeks, I think, and for her not to come when I had originally thought she was going to. I have been told by lots of women that it's really common to feel like that they always think their baby's going to come early, especially first time mums think that, but it's so not like that generally. The 41, 42 week thing is quite normal. I suppose I just didn't want to get to that point where there was talk about induction or anything like that, because I don't want to go there. But she has made us have to have those talks, and you know, and that's fine, because there really is no stress revolved around those things as long as we have time to talk about them and we don't feel like we're forced into anything. So when we saw Amy today, we did the stretch and sweep and we booked an appointment for Thursday morning, so just over 48 hours, to get a CTG done if baby hasn't come by then, which basically is just a scan that helps, not a scan, sorry, it basically they hook you up to monitors which checks baby's heart rate, variability, all that sort of stuff as well, so it can take between 10 and 20 minutes. It's just to check on baby and make sure that they're still okay in there, because if they deem that they're not, then that would be a thing for induction. And if it comes to that point, then it probably is one of those situations where the positives outweigh the negatives of something like that, you know, because we just want her out safely. But yeah, so that's something that we'll cross when we get there. I'm pretty adamant we're not going to need it. I'm hoping not anyway. After seeing Amy today for the stretch and sweep, and also seeing Chloe to get another alignment done again and another cranial massage. Tomorrow I see Nick for acupuncture if baby hasn't come, and we're going to do all those induction points again. So hopefully, with how much it stirred me up last week from having those things done, that this week being a bit further along, and also the stretch and sweep being done too, that it'll just all come together and we will have our baby. But yeah, so I'll leave it there. The last couple have ended up being quite long videos, so sorry in advance for that, but yeah, things are coming to a close now and we'll be entering a new phase, and yeah, we'll see if I end up doing a 42 week video. Alright, okay, I'll leave it there, and yeah, you guys will hear from me soon.